In this video, we're going to break down the differences between Toyota's 3 primary four-wheel drive systems. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. This is, of course, the 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD PRO. It is the most capable off-road version of the 4Runner.
Now we have to point out that the 4Runner is due for an update soon. We expect the next generation model to have a hybrid powertrain along with the new multi-terrain select system found in the newest Toyota Tundra and Sequoia. But for now, the 4Runner is soldiering on with the same part-time four-wheel drive system and MTS, which it's had for more than a decade. As for why we used the new 2022 Tundra for this test instead of the new 2023 Sequoia, it was simply a matter of availability. We couldn't get a 2023 Sequoia on the day we filmed. That said, the Tundra does use the exact same powertrain as the new Sequoia, but with a wheelbase that's 23 inches longer. If you want to see how well the Sequoia does on a wet version of this same course, we have a separate video featuring the 2023 Sequoia Limited TRD Off-Road. In this video, we also have the new Lexus LX600. Based on the International Land Cruiser, this features the same turbocharged motor as the Tundra, but without the complicated hybrid setup. With full-time four-wheel drive, a lockable center differential, the new MTS and crawl systems, plus hydraulic height adjustable suspension, the Lexus has the most advanced off-road system of the three.
And I'm really curious, how do the four-wheel drive systems compare? How does a 4Runner compare against a Tundra? How does it compare against a Lexus LX? Well, that's what we're going to find out right now.
The 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD PRO features a V6 engine good for 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 5-speed automatic transmission with a part-time four-wheel drive system. Retail price is $52,920 US.
So here we are in the Toyota 4Runner, and I always love the 4Runner. I've owned one. I love driving them. It's always a good time. So we got lots of features here. We're not going to probably get into all of them, but there's a few things I really want to play with. That's the MTS system, and I also really want to look at the articulation. Now, I am currently in 4 low, which allows me to access all the programs. I don't have any programs on right now. I'm just in 4 low, which basically turns off traction control. So right here you can see articulation. The vehicle is reaching down and grabbing that dirt. Very often when people see extreme off-roading, you see a wheel up. That's not actually a good thing. You usually actually want to keep all your wheels down. Now this is a manufacturer's test event, so Toyota of course designed the course. Also, I'm surrounded by other journalists on the course, so we keep having to stop and go, which is a little frustrating. This is why we built our own test course. But unfortunately, we can never actually get all these vehicles side by side until, they do events like this, which is cool. So while we're waiting for the journalists and the Lexus LX600 in front of us, this might be a while, we can look at some of the new features here. And the one I am most excited by is this surround view camera system. When I bought my 2021 4Runner, it did not have it even as an option. But it is on this vehicle. And yeah, it is low res. In fact, it is ridiculously low res. We're looking at, seriously, this kind of reminds me of Nintendo graphics. It's just pretty awful. I'm going to turn it into auto mode so it'll automatically turn on. And we can choose to either see our wheel position there or we can see tracks. So it's actually pretty feature rich. It's a pretty cool setup. And then on this next bit, I'm going to go as high as possible to try to really get some solid wheel articulation. But right after this Lexus is all done, going through the course. Now for this section, I know I'm going to actually lift a wheel, so I really want to shift power left to right. To do that, I'm going to turn on the MTS system, and I'm going to turn it to mud, sand, and dirt. And we're going to see how that wheel spin works. It's probably going to have a lot of wheel spin, mostly because sand and dirt usually encourages wheel spin, because now we can see it's bucking a little bit because it's shifting that power around to get us up the climb. And yeah, we are at a pretty extreme. I'm not exaggerating. We actually are this tilty. So the next thing for me to do is now we're going to do a transition. This is going to lift more power off the wheels. So I'm actually going to go to rock mode, which will limit the amount of wheel spin as we make this transition. Now I could just use momentum, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to stop and then move forward a little bit. And I want to see the MTS system do the work. And there we go. See, it's pretty cool actually. Next thing we're going to do is go up a climb. This is not that exciting or difficult. We're just going to move forward. So at this point I can turn off the MTS system. Now I can still use a camera. I can't see over the hood, so I'm just using the camera to help guide me forward. I do have a spotter because of course this is a Toyota event and they want to make sure that nobody is having any issues here. So next we have an extreme tilt. And instead of using MTS, I'm going to lock the rear diff. Now that should make both wheels turn as one. As I go up this steep incline. Now I'm watching the wheels. See, I can see where the rocks are, even though I can't see them over the hood. And with that rear axle locked, I don't have any slipping at all. It just rolls both wheels with equal power. It's a really nice setup. Okay, now that I don't need it, I'm going to turn off that rear locker because otherwise turning will be very difficult. So this next bit is a steep climb over rock. And for that, what mode should I use? I think I'll use rock mode. Now you might notice that this course, it's not incredibly difficult. In fact, it's hardly difficult at all, but it is designed to show how certain features function. So you have a better understanding when you take your vehicle off-road. So I'm going to go left, and I'm actually going to use rock mode with MTS. So we're going to go there, and that should minimize wheel spin. So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to take the hard line, and we're going to see how this works. See if it can get us up. Oh, can it shift power? Oh, no, it's having problems. And see, that's a major problem with MTS type systems. When you have wheel spin, you can shift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the rear locker. I'm going to back up just a little bit to reapproach, and I'm going to do the same line as before over that hard rock on the left. So now, because both wheels are gripping equally, this should be a little easier. See? Just maintain the line. So a rear locker is in many ways superior in certain conditions, especially where you're crawling very slowly in a four-load situation and then going into a big puddle, I guess. Sploosh. Love it. So that's the 2022 Toyota 4Runner. It is obviously purpose-built for this type of a course. Now, how does it compare against Toyota's other four-wheel drive systems? We'll find that out next. Now we have the newest vehicle from Toyota. This is the 2022 Tundra TRD PRO. It's loaded with off-road features and a really, really powerful hybrid powertrain.
The 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD PRO has a hybrid powertrain good for 437 horsepower and a whopping 583 pound-feet of torque. This is connected to a 10-speed automatic transmission with a part-time, yes, part-time, four-wheel drive system. Price starts at $67,505 US.
Now we're in the big boy. This is the all-new 2022 Toyota Tundra. And granted, yes, this is going to have a much longer wheelbase, so it's going to attack all of these features in a different way. So far I am in just regular drive and in 4 high. I have no special settings on because these are some pretty straightforward moguls. Now the tires on this vehicle are Falken Wild Peak 83Ws, which are a pretty good grippy tire. They're an all-terrain, but that's not too extreme. It's actually pretty nice to drive every day. So for this next set, I know we're going to get some articulation, so I am going to put the vehicle into 4 low. I have this wonderful surround view camera system that is new. Put it there, go into 4 low, Go into neutral, back into drive. We now have the surround all-terrain camera system, which is really cool. We got wheel tracks in the front. I have degrees of tilt. Do I have a rear locker on this thing? Yes, I have a rear locker as well. So we're going to first approach this and just get to the point of some wheel slip and see what this does. So there's some wheel slip. And for this next transition, I'm going to turn it on. Let's go MTS, and let's switch MTS to, let's do rock, because that should minimize wheel spin. Now, I have a rear locker, but I'm not turning it on currently. Now here we're going to have the transition, and the transition is going to cause the wheels to lift. And now what MTS is doing is it's using brakes to shift power around the system. So you can see it moving slowly forward. And if you compare this versus the system in the 4Runner, you can see this system works much better. And part of that is because of the hybrid power system. It actually uses electric motors to give you that low-end torque and smooth power, which is just really, really great. So this next feature, we're going to do a little more of the same, but I'm going to use the rear locker instead. Now you might notice that the camera is far away this time because this cabin is so much bigger than the 4Runner. I mean, the 4Runner really is very small by modern standards. So this time I'm going to turn MTS off. I'm also going to go as wide as possible. I'm using these guidelines so that I don't hit a rock. And I'm going to lock that rear axle. And that will take power and shift it around. Basically, it'll lock the rear axle so that equal power goes to each axle. As I'm turning around this, super steep. You can probably see that articulation in the back too, with the left wheel reaching down and the right wheel really being picked up. And that even though this is a big vehicle, with the camera system and the four-wheel drive capability, you really can get into some really cool places with this thing. Okay, I can go ahead and turn off that rear locker because I'm going to do a tight turn here, and rear lockers aren't very good for actual maneuverability. Now we have a steep rock climb. Now in this rock climb, like before, I'm going to turn on MTS. They moved it from up here to down here, so I keep like reaching in the wrong place. So we're going to go MTS, and we're going to go to rock. We're going to see how well this power system works at shifting that power around. I'm going to take the hard line like before, and we'll see if this one fails like the 4Runner did. So of course it has a different wheelbase, so it might find different grip opportunities. Oh yeah. I'm feeling a little bit of shifting in the back, but really it's like imperceptible. And that's actually one of the advantages of the hybrid power system, is that it does do these things in a very imperceptible way. It's much smoother in that power transfer than the old system.
So when you're crawling, doing rock crawl, for example, that initial instantaneous electric motor torque is really controllable for getting over that. When your wheel is stuck up against a rock and you're trying to just kind of gently get over it, the iForce Max system really helps to get you over that rock situation.
Shove a little bow wave, and that is that. So this system definitely more refined, very capable. The only thing really as an issue is the size, because a Tundra, it's a big boy. So with the Tundra, you can really kind of see what is coming up in the new 4Runner, because chances are the 4Runner is going to have a downscaled version of this same powertrain. And I'm really excited for that, but it's still a little ways away, so we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have the American version of the Land Cruiser. That's right, it's the LX600.
The 2022 Lexus LX600 comes standard with a turbocharged V6, good for 409 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. Like the Tundra, it comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission. But instead of the part-time four-wheel drive system, the Lexus gets the full-time system with a lockable center differential. The LX600 starts at $86,900 US.
This is based on the global Land Cruiser, but obviously it's way fancier than a Land Cruiser because Lexus, to set this up for the moguls, I'm just going to keep it in drive. This does have a really fancy full-time four-wheel drive system with a differential in the middle, so I don't even have to engage four-wheel drive. It'll just do it automatically. So right now we're just in normal four-wheel drive mode. I'm going to go ahead and actually raise my suspension up, and we can go up to high 2, and it lifts it up, which gives me a lot of ground clearance. Now let's see how this does. So the moguls here, very easy. I'm just in the full-time four-wheel drive setting. I'm not doing anything special. We're just kind of moseying over to kind of feel how much, grab this, how much articulation it has. You can kind of feel it going around. Now, of course, the wheelbase in this is totally different than the Tundra we were just in. So this one's probably picking up wheels a little bit more. Yeah, see? Let the system figure itself out, and there we go. It's going to switch into 4 low, putting into the neutral. Okay, now we're in 4 low. So now we're going to roll forward, and I'm going to, let's pick a mode. What mode do we want to be in? Let's do MTS, and we get the camera system up there, which is cool. Let's pick rock mode like we used before to see exactly what kind of wheel slipping we get here and how it transfers power. It's doing a pretty good job. Huge lean right here. Of course, the suspension is also all maxed out. Camera system is really good. I do kind of like it on the Tundra because it is so big. There we go. Let's kind of shift that power around. So now we're going to see how the power shifts. Side to side. Oh, it's getting a little aggressive. And then down we go. Okay, super easy. It wasn't quite as smooth as the Tundra with its new hybrid system with the, MTS and all that, but this one was pretty good. But we got another test. Of course, we have the tilt coming up next. So now we're gonna go wide. Oh, I need that front camera. Where's my front camera? I can't find anything in here. There it is. Don't want to hit those rocks. Okay, we're going to go wide, and then we're going to go really high up here. Now I can lock my center differential if I really need that 50-50 front-back torque split, but as it is, the auto diff just does a great job, so I don't really have to do anything here. And the articulation is just fantastic on this vehicle. Nice. So one of the really neat things about this Lexus is really the trick differential. What it will do is provide power to the front and back as necessary, but it's not like a clutch-based system, so it's not going to slip, which means it doesn't really generate a lot of heat, which means it's active all the time and as effective, actually even more so, than a proper four-wheel drive system with a transfer case. The previous two vehicles, the 4Runner and the Tundra, both use a transfer case because they're part-time systems, which means that when you engage it, your torque is locked 50% to the front, 50% to the back, which means you can't really drive them on pavement in four-wheel drive mode. This one with the differential where it's constantly varying can do that, plus you can lock that middle to get that proper 50-50 split when you need it. We're not going to do it right now though. So I'm going to go ahead and start this climb. And I'm going to take the hard line on the left like I did before. Now my suspension is all the way raised up, which really helps with approach angles and brake over. I'm going to, where's the button? I'm going to make sure that we're in rock mode. We are. And this is just using the multi-terrain select system. There is no rear locker on this one, so I can't engage that if I have slip. Oh, how's it doing? Put a little throttle on there. Let me get my camera back up because I can't really see what's going on. Okay, even on the hard line, very smooth. MTS helps shift that power around left to right to get me up the course. I didn't even need to engage the center differential. Great. I mean, it's really amazing how capable the Lexus LX is. Sploosh! Pushing that bow wave in front of me and hoping it doesn't splash back. But we got the ground clearance so we can have some more fun than usual. Okay, so that's been my look at 3 very popular Toyota four-wheel drive systems. Really, each one has its unique strengths. Really, my favorite of all 3 of them is the one in the Lexus LX because four-wheel drive all the time is really the best. scenario. It really is. Unfortunately, it's very expensive. As you can see, there's a wide range of capabilities and features, but in the end, all of them are quite capable when the going gets tough. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them.